This is the Jose Soto Show. You are listening to Jose Soto. Well, I haven't been on the blog lately, and yesterday I was just feeling like shit. In fact, I was pooping a lot of shit. I had a minor stomach flu, but uh, with other complications as well. But I was able to fix all that, kinda, and I feel a little better today. And I guess we can do this. Why not? And so I'm skimming through my email and I'm trying to find something to talk about. It's just that I've been really sick. Not sick like puking and all that, but it's for me when I get diarrhea, it just really fucks me up mentally. Like I start to freak out. I don't know. Maybe I'm a what's it called? A hypochondriac. Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah, I'm basically like that. You know, I get diarrhea. I'll be like, damn. Oh no. What is it? Colon cancer? HIV? I don't know. Well, so I start freaking out, and I start going through all these thoughts in my head, and I know it's not healthy, but it's just me, and it makes me feel bad all the way through. So I started to take my temperature every 3 hours, and yes, I had a little fever, but then it went away. And I didn't want to do the show like that. I wanted to at least be sort of settled down a little bit. So yes, I feel better today, a little better. I still have some bouts of diarrhea, but I guess it's gonna go away. And the thing is, I do have what's it called? I forgot what it was called. But in my medical history, a few years ago, I've been diagnosed with anxiety, a little bit of depression, and that was because I was going through a lot of shit, a lot of shit. I was on the brink of bankruptcy, and I had to move out of state, and I was just basically out of it, and they put me on these drugs, and I don't suggest people take these kinds of drugs, but I thought they were going to put me on Prozac, but that didn't happen. They put me on this thing called Lexapro. And what I found out later on is it's the same as Paxil and these other SSRIs, serotonin reuptake inhibitors, something like that. And what they do is they don't mess with. I just come to find this out. These drugs don't mess with your brain at all. They mess with your gut because that's where the serotonin comes from, is from the gut. I didn't know that. So maybe that's why when you say I have a gut feeling, it's in my stomach. Yes, because that's your serotonin speaking to you, and that's why you have that feeling. So if you're suffering from anxiety or depression, my advice, you see, I hate giving advice. I'm not gonna give it advice. I'm not a medical professional, so I'm not certified, if you want to say, certified to give you advice. But I will say this: if I had to do it all over again, I probably would not take those drugs. I'd probably take the natural route, which is due to sunbathing, 10 minutes a day. Just go outside and let the sun beat on your skin, because that's where you get vitamin D. Vitamin D gets to help you with your anxiety and your depression. And then I learned this after the fact, obviously, not during when I needed this information. But ever since then, my gut has been acting up a weird, My doctor said I had some colitis. I don't know what it is, but it's some minor inflammation of the gut, of the colon. But he says that it's probably gonna stay there for a while. It's gonna remain for at least a couple years. And I hate this. I hate this. I really do. But it really screws you up. So be careful if you're taking these drugs. Be very careful. Don't just take these drugs because, oh, you're gonna feel better. There are other options besides drugs. I should have taken those options, but I fucked up, obviously. So I'm skimming through my email, and here is something that maybe I want to talk about. I don't know. Should I? Why not? Well, this last couple of weeks, I've been trying to, not trying, but okay, I'll say it. Trying to get back on the horse regarding finding a relationship. Now, I'm not the kind of guy that needs a relationship. Although I would like to have somebody to talk to. I would like to have somebody to relate to in a personal, intimate level. And I can't really do that with friends. I have friends. I have lots of friends. I have cousins, relatives everywhere. But the problem with those people is that they don't get me. They don't get me. All they want is for me to help them and solve their problems and give them money, blah, 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 all this shit. And I don't mind doing that. It's just once in a while, why don't you come by my house or call me on the phone and say, hey, what's up, Jose? How are you? Instead of, hey, Jose, something happened. Some shit happened. And I need you to come over because I need you to fix things because you're wise. Alright, no, I'm not wise. I just been through a lot of shit. And I can tell you what works and what doesn't work. In some cases, not every time. So, I've been thinking to myself, since I broke up with my ex, and it's been a while. I don't know how long it's been, but it's been like 6 months. And I know for some of you, you might say, hey, that's a long time to be without a boyfriend, because I know some of you might be saying to yourselves, hey, once you break up, find another fish. Get your fishing rod out and, well, fishing rod. Literally and figuratively, if you know what I mean. Get your fishing rod out and start fishing for a new boyfriend. Well, my fishing rod is really small, by the way. It's 2 inches. So, I've been on the internet a few times, and, well, I'm on the internet all the day, but for personal reasons I'm talking about, for me, is that I've been on the internet, and I talked to a couple of guys. A few guys were very, they were very nice. Let's just say that. They were okay. So I decided to meet 2 of them. Long story short, I dumped one of them figuratively. I mean, kind of like subtly, not blatantly, like, hey, don't talk to me ever again. But I just stopped answering his phone calls. See, because that's what I would expect from somebody who doesn't want to talk to me, is that, look, I phone you, I call you, and if you don't want me to talk to you and to, continue this, whatever it is, pseudo relationship or dating, then don't call and don't answer the phone. And by the time, look, here's what I do. I call, no answer. I leave a message. I wait 3 days. 3rd day, I will call again, and that's it. But the 3rd day, I don't leave a voicemail. I just call. And I hang up, and that's it. I wait for him to call me if he will ever call me. That's what I do. And it has worked for me because 90% of them, they didn't want to talk to me. So That's how you know. And I don't want to be that guy that's like, oh my god, he's calling me, he doesn't leave me alone. I don't want to be the stalker. I'm not a stalker. And I've been a victim of stalking many times. But gay dating is so different. It's not just about the gay thing. It's very different from what you expect from heterosexuals. Maybe, I don't know, maybe some of you straight guys that listen to my show, maybe you might find these things that I say useful. Maybe. Because there are straight guys that act that way, that, hey, by the third call, if you don't answer, that means you don't want me, so it's over. I mean, yeah, you can apply these to, but for gay people, we have a different take on things, and especially on dating. Dating is a very special ritual. And I try to be myself at the first date. Second date, I kind of let loose a little bit. So here's the thing. I dump one guy, and then I start to kind of more talk to this other guy. He's about 26 years old. He's younger than me, and that's fine. I'm not going to discriminate. It's not like he's fucking 8 years old or something, okay? I talked to a friend of mine, and I told him that this new guy that I'm seeing is 26, and he starts like, what? Oh my god, you are robbing the cradle. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? The guy's well over 21 years old. He seems kind of smart. He is somewhat attractive. Oh, attractive in general. I don't like to say somewhat or extremely. I'm just saying that he's attractive. He's attractive, and he is very what I liked about him, he knew what he wanted. In many ways, those kinds of guys can be callous and cold, but at least they let you know what the fuck they want. So that way you're not second guessing them. You're not trying to figure it out. There's no ambiguity. But there's a problem with that. Is that if they tell you exactly what they want, then what do you have to do? If you don't fit, you can't really bend these people. I'm a flexible kind of guy. I am very flexible. Because if I see somebody that I like, and I want to hang out with them, and I want to get to know them, and I want to maybe date them later on, I tend to be flexible. I don't like hip-hop. I think hip-hop is garbage. That's my own personal opinion. And if you like hip-hop, well, that's your thing. I'm not gonna trash you. I'm not gonna bag on you or anything like that. But if I meet a guy who likes hip-hop, I'll just have to tolerate it. And I will. If I like that guy, I tolerate it. If he likes to go to, let's say, skiing, I hate skiing, I'll tolerate that. I'll probably even go with him, and I'll stay at the room, right? I will stay at the cabin, whatever, but he'll go and ski, and he'll have a fun time with his friends. I'm not gonna stand there and say, oh no, you can't date me because you love skiing, or because you like hip-hop. I'm not gonna do that. Although hip-hop has ruined my previous relationship that I had a few years ago. I'll get into that some other time. That was very interesting. No, but that guy was so into hip-hop. His life was hip-hop. It was pretty weird. But because he was very likable in a way, but things didn't turn out as I thought they were. Now, this particular guy that I just met, he was very nice. I mean, he seemed like he was very well structured. I thought he was military. I thought he was, this guy is a Marine. This guy's a fucking Marine. But he didn't look the type. He wasn't that fit, if I can say that. He wasn't. I mean, I'm not that fit either. I'm not fat, but I'm not fit. But a lot of these military guys, Marines, they're all fit. They're all sculpted and they have big muscles. Most of them do. Or they're resilient. But this guy wasn't that. His physique wasn't that resilient or wasn't that extraordinary. So I didn't know that he was military, but so he's not, but he looked like at first glance. So we started emailing each other, emailing and all that, going back and forth. And maybe let me tell you what happened with this date of mine after this break. But don't judge me for what I did, because what I did, I think, was for the benefit of him. See, I'm very considerate. I am very considerate. Because if you're somebody that is that rigid, and he is very rigid on what he wants. I mean, he told me the first date, on our first date, he said that whatever he wants, he gets. And basically, he wants the perfect guy. And that kind of put me in the spot. He didn't say that exact phrase, but that's what he meant when he was giving me this long lecture about what he wants in a guy. And that's one thing I hate asking people. What do you like in a guy? What do you mean you like? Shut up. I mean, that's the most stupidest question that you can ask, especially on your first date. Oh, what kind of guy do you like? What do you ask that? You want to date the guy, obviously. If you're dating the guy, if you're on the first date, you're gonna want to impress him. So why do you need to ask that stupid question? It's just totally not necessary, if you ask me. So let's take this short break. And let me tell you what happened with this guy. And let me see if what I did was right. Because I think what I did was right. So let's take a break and we'll be right back after these words. Alright, and we are back. And today's topic that I just came up with right now. That's how I work sometimes. Sometimes I don't know what the hell I'm going to say on this show. So I'm just going to say whatever comes out. And I'm going to try to make a topic out of it. And because I'm skimming through my email, I just got an email from a guy that I've been sort of dating, but you know what they say, oh, I'm seeing this guy. That's the phrase, right? I'm seeing this guy. And he sent me an email. But before I get to the email, I want to tell you what happened. What happened was I dumped the other guy because I was actually dating two guys. So I dumped the other guy. And then I started to hang out more with this guy. He's never been to my house, all right? We have basically gone to a few times to, well, it took me to TGI Fridays, which I hated, but that's okay. You see, I'm very flexible. I hate TGI Fridays, but he took me there anyway. The reason why I hate TGI Fridays is because there's a lot of bad memories there. I used to work there, and also a lot of memories with my ex. I just don't want to deal with that kind of shit. So, but he took me there anyways. I had to stick it up, and that's fine. I took a lot of, well, yeah, I drank a lot of these platinum margaritas, and they're very huge. They're bigger than your head. So I had a couple of those, and we had a good time. But during that little date, he did make it clear that he is looking for a guy that's very, independent, structured, has something going for his life. Which is a lot for a 26-year-old to say. I must say that. Because at 26, I wasn't thinking about this shit. At 26, I graduated from college and I wanted to do something for myself. Yes, but I was still playing around. I was still trying to figure things out. And I don't think people do until they're 30, around there. And today, that's what... Now that I'm 30 years old... Well, 31 now. Jesus Christ. Now that I figured it out, I have a very good idea of what I want to do in my life. Probably more now than I did when I was 20 or 25. I wanted to be a screenwriter, and I'm still pretty much writing, but as a hobby. But this guy had it all pretty much outlined out. I mean, set in stone. I mean, here's what I'm gonna do. He wanted to be the fuck he wanted to be. I forgot about that. I think he something in the medical field, but he was studying to do that. He was to make good money and all that. So he took me to his place, and we were hanging out there. Nothing happened, obviously, but because I didn't know what if now we're dating or if you wanted. And of course, you're always wondering that. But don't ask. Don't ever ask. Just read. Now, if you don't know how to read people, obviously you cannot date them. If you know how to read people, then you probably are able to date. And I was reading from this guy that he was insecure and that he didn't know what to do with me. So I basically just took over the night and we watched a movie. One of my favorite movies that I always watch with my date. The first movie that I watch with a date will be, of course, Casino. Casino with Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro. That is the best movie ever made of all time. It's my own personal favorite. And he watched it with me. He was sort of getting tired. He's those kind of guys likes to watch those chick flicks and those big blockbusters and all that kind of big Hollywood stuff. I like the real good writing, real good acting kind of movies. He doesn't. Fine. I tolerated it. In fact, he even told me that he didn't like the movie that much. And you know what? I said, fine. Each person has their own taste. I'm not going to get offended just because you didn't like Casino. That's okay. So a few days passed. He wanted to visit me now. Alright. So he comes over to my house. And my parents are here in my house. My mother is having a few problems with her shoulder. She has shoulder pains. And she's been complaining about that for the last few weeks. My father, he retired. And we are talking about having them move back with me. And the reason why is because I care about my parents. I do. There's been a lot of health issues with both of them. More with my mother than my father. But I just don't trust my father doing the... well, my mother has had a lot of health problems. But I don't trust my father making the right decisions. He's a nice guy and everything, but he's not very, he's not on his toes when it comes to health emergencies. So we were talking about that, and he came over and I introduced him. This is the first time. Now, I didn't expect this, but my parents were there anyway, so I introduced him to my parents, and he's like, hi, how are you, all that stuff. So he knows Spanish, and he started talking to my parents, and they were having an okay time and whatever. And so we went to my living room, and my parents were in the guest room trying to figure out, I don't know what they were doing, but he was very silent somehow. And I tried to play some of the things. I tried to watch television. Then he finally came out and said, are you going to live with your parents? And I'm like, well, first of all, let me explain something. My sister has her own problems. She's going through a lot of shit right now. She cannot handle my parents being there. I'm the one that's single, and I live here, and they're my parents. They're my flesh and blood. I care about them, and yes, I want them to move back because I think because of health issues. I think that it's a lot cheaper for me to take care of them than to have somebody pay somebody to do it. Maybe later on when I can afford that, maybe I'll decide for that. But it says, oh no, you're gonna have to be on your own. You can have your parents with you. Oh no, You have to have your own place, blah blah blah. You have to have your own livelihood, your own. Basically, he had a problem with my parents being around me, and he's saying that since he was 19 years old, he moved out of his house. He's been on his own. He never needed to be with his parents. His parents never needed to be with him. That I needed to basically control my life. That he thinks that my mother in particular, yes, I know she always tries to control me, but I don't let her. I know when shit needs to be done, and we do the shit, but the other things keep being taken care of. And yes, I care about my parents. I'm sorry, I'm human. I care about my parents. They gave me life. Hello. But he was being very, I don't know, he was just being weird about it. He was being weird, and he was taken aback that this was going on. So he said, oh, so when I come over, they're going to be spying on me. And something in that order. And I said, look, my parents accept the fact that I'm gay. They are okay with it. They don't care. When we used to live together back in California, because I live now in Arizona, when I used to live with them, I had my boyfriend live with us for 2 years, and he was okay with it. Well, he was different. He basically fell in love with my mom, in a platonic way, obviously. But my mother really loved this guy, so they became best friends. But that was back then, obviously. But now this guy is being all pompous about it, and that's when I felt a little bit uncomfortable. So he was sort of setting up the rules now. He's saying, you're going to have a more stable job. He wanted me to get a stable job. Okay, this is by the time, I think this is 5th or 6th. I'm not sure. But I think it was, I would say, week 6 that I've been seeing this guy. And already he's laying out the rules. Already he's telling me what to do. And yes, we've done some shit already. We had some sex, but he's all right. He's not superior. He's not ooh ee. But we did do the naughty, right? He fucks good. All right, yeah, he does. But here's the problem now. Here's the problem. You see, I'm 31 years old. And he's aghast that a 31-year-old will have his parents over, and even so, more, have his parents move back in with him. I'm sorry, but in my culture, a lot of people still live together. I don't get what the problem is. So then I asked him if my older cousin, because my older cousin lived with me for a couple of months, was that also going to be a problem? And he said no, not as much as the parents. So his problem was that the parents. But then he also came out and said, you know what, I prefer somebody that didn't have roommates or anything. I'm like, what the fuck? Some people cannot afford to live on their own. I'm sorry, we live in a new economy. My parents are paying a lot of bills, by the way, and I am afraid that they're going to pass away without anything left for them and for their last years of their lives. And I'm pretty worried about that. You see, I really care about them. I'm not this callous individual that has these fascist, militaristic aspects. Well, probably why, because he came from a large family. Maybe that's why. Because I do recall that he was telling me stories about how his siblings would come into his room, because they shared a room, and his stuff would get touched, and they'll take away his stuff, they'll take away his games and everything, and he will get pissed off. But this is different. It's not like I live with a bunch of siblings and they all step all over me. It's not like that. It's different, and he didn't accept that difference. So I sort of ended the day short for him. I said, you know what, I have something else to do. I'm gonna leave. And he just like kind of raised his eyebrows a little bit, and he's like, oh really? Yeah, yeah. I have to leave now. I mean, it was getting to that point where I was really irritated by this guy telling me what to do, basically giving me a lecture that people who live by themselves are better off and blah 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 blah, that I should be more responsible. And I am being responsible. Where did he get this shit from? I don't know, but being more responsible by, I don't know, throwing my parents into an old folks home? I mean, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. They're my parents, for crying out loud. So, in the end, I said, you know what? They're my parents, and I care about them, and I think that I thought somebody will find that commendable. If I found a guy who I'm dating who says, you know what, my parents, I love them, I'm gonna bring them into my home because I care about them, I'll be like, hey, that's very commendable of you, that you care about your family. If somebody like that cares about their folks, I bet you that they will care about you too. These are people that are very, generally, I'm not saying that all of them are, but in general, these people are very caring, not only about their parents, but about people that they care for and the people around them. And that's why I wouldn't mind. In fact, I would probably prefer somebody like that. Somebody like me. So I ended the date short, and we were going to go somewhere, but I said, no, you know what, I have something else to do. And he probably got the idea. That what he did, what he said, was out of line. Out of line. So, let's take a short break, and when I come back, we'll talk about dating some more, and see here. And this email that he sent me. Oh, really? Oh. Anyway, let's take a short break, and we'll be right back after these words. And we're back. Another thing that I forgot to say was he was very, I don't know, how can I put this? He was very freaked out. He was out of his own wit. I mean, he was basically out of it, in shock that I had my own online podcast. He's like, he thought it was weird that I did that. He thinks that me talking to you is weird. Really. Weird. What's so weird about it? I talk to people. People listen. That's called communication. I don't know. Isn't it normal to communicate? It is. So that kind of also really put me off a bit, to know that this guy had an issue with things that I was doing. You see, I had issues with the things he was doing too. I had issues with him saying that casino wasn't really that good, but I didn't say anything. I said, well, okay, fine. And I just moved on. You see, if I was a smart person, I would say, oh, you know, if I had an issue with parents being there, I would be like, you know, fine, you know, sure. I mean, if your parents don't mind that we fuck in your room, you know, that's fine. I don't care. I've done that before. I mean, I dated a guy once who, he lived with his parents. He lived in the basement. Typical guy, right? Typical live with parents. But he was going through financial problems, and he was trying to go through school. I understand. You know, I don't judge people who live with their parents or live with their families. Sometimes families are there to help you. So, and you help them, and you also help them. And you know, and it can work if there's boundaries set. Of course, you have to set boundaries. But then there are parents who are overpowering. They'll say, this is my roof, this is my house, and you're going to follow my rules. And we had sex many times in his basement/bedroom, and his parents were upstairs, and they didn't hear it. Well, we were not that loud anyway. Parents didn't hear, and they probably didn't care, and They didn't say anything. What's the problem? They know that is. I'm not gonna say his name. Let's just call him Jimmy. That's Jimmy's boyfriend, and they're down there in his own bedroom, and they're probably watching television. I hope they're just watching television. That's probably what his mom thought. I hope they're just watching a movie. They're not, doing immoral acts because they were Catholic. But the thing is that at least they respected us. And there are parents who do that. And those parents were very commendable. My parents do the same thing. When my ex was with me for 2 years and we lived together with my parents, my parents didn't have a problem. As long as we were respecting each other, because my parents are very conservative in a way of PDAs. They themselves don't really show that much public affection. They don't. I have never seen them kiss. Maybe like once. Once I did. I mean, they're so afraid of doing things in front of me, and that's fine. They're my parents, and they want to respect me. Same thing with my boyfriend, and that's what we had, and it worked. My boyfriend and I, we never did things. We held hands sometimes, but it wasn't a big thing. But we never kissed or made out or put my leg on his leg or anything like that in front of my parents, because we respected my parents, and my parents did the same. It's not like my parents were shoving their heterosexuality down my face. No, it's just that we respected the household, and that's fine. That's how I was raised, and we had no big deal. Once we were in my bedroom, we went to bed and we fooled around and we fucked. That was a good thing. That was the good old days. But this guy, he had a problem with it, so I told him to just go away. I was gonna go somewhere. I had other things to do, and he got the idea that what he said was out of bounds, and it was. So he sent me an email. Now here's the thing. After that day, he called me that same evening. Then he texted me, and then he called me right around midnight somewhere there, and that was already 3 contacts. So he already passed the limit over there. But then the next day he will call me again. I think it was around 5 calls I received from this guy. Then a text message saying that, please, I want to talk to you. Please, I want to talk to you. Please, I want to talk to you. So then somehow he got my email. I said to myself, I'm done with this guy. By that time I was like, you know what? I'm done with this guy. I thought about it. I thought about maybe giving him a second chance. Maybe, but to really know what's going to happen later on in the future, you have to read people carefully. And that's what I did. Because when he was giving me that little lecture and tirade about my parents, it lasted about an hour and a half. So I had enough time to read this guy and say, wait a minute, why are you making this a big deal? And I was asking questions and all that. So basically, he was somebody that if he had an issue, he wouldn't just address the issue. Anyway, he's making an issue out of something that shouldn't be an issue, which was my parents being with me. That shouldn't be an issue, because moving them with me should not be an issue. If some of you think that it should be an issue, then okay, fine, I understand. Let's work it out. Let's talk about it. But on the 6th, I think it was around the 7th date that we had together, I don't know you that well, and you're making my parents an issue, my flesh and blood an issue. No, you're not gonna be a wedge between me and my family. Screw you. Who the fuck are you to come here and wreck my home? My parents are very, let's say, they respect my boundaries a lot. And they do. They don't go into my room unless they knock whenever they come over, because they have a key to my house. They live close by. They always call before they come over, so I know when they're coming over. It's not like they're intruding in my life, and they're not. And if I have them here, I'll be more at ease. And it's mostly me going seeing them than them seeing me, because I want to care for them. And when they come over, they don't go through my things. They don't do anything. They never did that. Never. They go through my things. My mother always tries to do my laundry, and I don't want that. I do my laundry because I have a way of doing it that I like. And so she tries to step aside, and that's all. I mean, that's probably the motherly instinct of trying to do your son's laundry. Of course, every mother has that. But she steps back and she knows that I'm in control, and that's that. I'm not saying that I'm in control. I'm just saying that I have my life under control, and basically that I don't really need her. She needs me. You see, that's how it is now. She needs me. She needs my help. So why am I going to put my mother out because of some dude having a problem with it? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. And besides, they pay too much rent. They pay too much rent, and they shouldn't be paying that much rent for a little shitty place like that. That's my opinion. I have enough space in my house. They can actually take the downstairs room, and that's fine. They'll be quiet as a mouse. But at least they will be near to me, and if anything happens, I can help them out. Because we've already had a couple of hospital runs and visits due to my mother's health, so I'm very concerned. That's why I'm doing this. I'm not doing this because I want to, I want to be next to mommy and daddy. I'm not doing, they live close by. Whenever I want to see mommy and daddy, I just drive down a couple blocks. Actually, it's more than that. It's like half a mile. But they're not on me all the time. They're not on my case. They're not telling me what not to do. They're not telling me that. But he thinks that's what's going on. And his mistake was he spoke before he read. Read. If you really want good advice on how to date people properly, don't say shit. Shut up. Be nice. And just read until you know what's going on. It's like what Al Pacino said in Glengarry and Glen Ross. Don't open your mouth until you know what the shot is. And this guy, he opened his big mouth. He was a big shot because he had his own place. Oh, really? I mean, he lived in a shitty apartment. Let me just say that. He lived in a shitty apartment. And he's complaining about the landlords and all this. I mean, he complains about a lot of shit. He's a complainer, and I don't like that. What I do is I come on this show and I talk about my issues, right? And I try to make sense of them. I try to talk to you about them and pull these issues and my stories apart and see what topics we can come up with. But this guy, he really had issues, and he really did. To me, this guy was somebody that was a control freak, and he couldn't imagine that I will let other people come in and share my life. He couldn't imagine that, especially parents. He could not imagine that my parents would come in and share my life. He even had a problem in it. Because towards the end of our conversation, the last time I saw him, I even asked him, would you have a problem? This is what I asked. Would you have a problem if my parents were not living here, but they came by once in a while? He said, yeah, he had a problem with that. Like, what the fuck? Do you want me to... I mean, already I feel kind of lonely. I have a bunch of friends, but they rarely talk to me. They'll come by once a week or so. But he was just out of this world. I looked at him like he was some sort of fucking reptilian or something. I mean, he was just, ugh. I mean, to have the audacity to say that to somebody you don't fucking know, that you're just barely getting to know. That's why you have to read people. And I read him, and basically what I got is he is a control freak. He doesn't like it when others come into my life. And he wanted me, and he asked me what job I did. He was mostly into what successes. And that's what really brought on my depression, was because I was so infatuated with success. Trying to be successful, trying to beat the other guy, all this shit. Try to beat the corporate ladder, because he works for a corporation, a health corporation, and he's going through school to get higher up and whatever. I don't know what the fuck he was doing. You see how boring that thing was? Yeah. But this guy was into success. I mean, he wanted me to be a CEO of something. And that, you know what? Yes, I am a CEO of my own little company that I have. I'm not making that much money. You know, I'm working on these things. I'm working on projects. You know, that's what I'm doing. And he says, you know, that's not a real job, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what the fuck? You know, I mean, I don't care what people, you know, I used to date somebody that was, what was he? Oh, yeah. He was a carpet cleaner. A carpet cleaner. And I dated this guy. This guy was fucking hot. And then not only that, he fucked in bed so good. I mean, this guy was a good fucker. And I fucked him, you know, and I still have wet dreams about this guy. I do. And he was a carpet cleaner. He was making $20,000 a year at the most. But did I give a shit? No. I took him to Vegas. We went on trips. I took him everywhere. You know, and we had a good time, but he had issues with his family, and they didn't want him to be gay and all that shit. So he had to marry a woman. That's a whole different story. I don't want to get into that. But yes, this guy made my career an issue. As if I'm gonna marry you right now, bitch. Like, what the fuck? I used to make $100,000 a year, but that went away. Obviously, a lot of things have gone away in 2008 when this whole shit hit the fan. Remember that? Inconsiderate little bitch? Of course you don't, because you're inconsiderate. You're a callous, tight-ass bitch. That's what you are. You have no sympathy for other people. And that's what you need to date. You need a lot of sympathy, patience. I think patience. And the ability to read people right off the bat before you start opening up yourself like this. You know, that's what you need. Let's take a short little break, and we'll be right back after these words. All right, well, we are trying to make sense of all this ritual that we call gay dating. And the only way I can make sense of it is I have to open up my history and talk about my dating experiences. But since it's going to take forever for me to talk about every dating experience, let me just talk about my recent one. And of course, that's what we have been doing for the last 45 minutes or so. Because I really want to get this off my chest. And because I read an email. Oh, by the way, yes, the email. The email said that he's sorry for what... Now, he recognized his error, but then he said, first of all, he started off, I'm sorry that you took it the wrong way. You're a nice guy. You're good looking. I don't know where he got that from. But, look, I'm not ugly, but I'm not... You know, I'm not fucking Leo DiCaprio here. You know, I am me. That's all I can say. And I really don't care what other people say. You know, that's the other important thing that I want to tell you. Don't care about what other people think while you're dating, because if you get hang-ups over what people say about you, you're not gonna make it. You're just, well, that was my problem. Is that whenever somebody said something, especially oh god, I remember I met this guy from Adam for Adam, and I took a picture of myself. No, not of my dick or cock or my ass or anything. I don't do that kind of shit. Yeah, I have a picture of myself, a regular picture. It was about a year and a half old, and then when he came over, right, I met him up down the street. He was pulling over, and then he saw me. He's like, "Oh my god!" Here's what he said: "Oh my god, you look older than you did in the picture," and I just collapsed within. And as soon as he was trying to get out of his car, I pushed the door in, making sure that he put his foot back in the car. I pushed the car in, and I said, "Okay, goodbye." And then he sent me a text message. No, not a text. He saw me again on Adam, and he says, "Well, just to let you know, I was only kidding, and I was just joking around. I was trying to be funny. That's my sense of humor. I have dark humor, but I really like you, and but since you're being an asshole, blah blah blah." So I guess I misjudged that. So don't always overreact. Now, unless of course it's a wham bam thank you sir, you're just gonna hook up for a couple of hours or minutes, whatever, then go ahead, just don't lose yourself. Don't lose your mental, emotional balance over somebody who doesn't give you two shits about who you are and who you are. Believe me, gay dating is a lot more of like playing Russian roulette. Alright? Most of the time you won't kill yourself, but that one will kill you. That one will kill you. That one bullet. And you're just gonna have to let it go. You cannot let one little bullet, and real Russian roulette, of course you're going to let it go when you're dead. But figuratively speaking, I'm just talking about here figuratively, is that people will do dumb shit and will say dumb shit and will try to be funny and all of that. Come on. Alright. Why is it so hard to say hi? How are you? I mean, why do you have to be, you look younger in your picture? Let me tell you something. Gay dating is so fucking difficult. It is. I cannot believe we're actually doing this shit. I cannot believe I'm even talking about that. I mean, it's so abnormal to us gay people. It is. This ritual. It is so fucking difficult just to go on a date, just to find somebody and to say, "Oh no, you look through their pictures on Adam for Adam." I'm gonna do that Adam for Adam thing this week. I'm gonna try to do that. My little review of Adam for Adam profiles. You're gonna love that. I've seen some interesting profiles that we can talk about. But anyway, that's for that show. I really think that the difficulty of gay dating has to do with a lot of things. The media perception, the gay media perception, gay porn also playing into this. Everything, all these fantasy, unrealistic, plasticky things that are basically being implanted into our minds, that you don't need to look at a man for the fact that if he's mentally strong, he is he basically manly attributes. It doesn't matter if you're feminine acting or femmy or a bottom. That's not it. What I'm talking about is normal masculine attributes. Somebody that is strong mentally and emotionally, but able to understand and be compassionate about his fellow human beings, and about somebody that is able to accept his own failings and to work on them. That's a masculine attribute. But unfortunately, not in the gay community, that especially in gay dating, in the gay dating scene, that's rare. Because everybody has wants and everybody has needs, and it's all about me, 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 me. And this guy, who now is emailing me saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. Of course, parents are important. They're your family. I shouldn't be intervening. I still want to talk to you." You know, it's just the fact that I want, and he still admitted on his email, I still would like somebody that would, you know, have his own place and not be surrounded by people, by parents, or any, you know. I don't know what you're looking for. If you want somebody to live by themselves, I mean, are you looking for somebody that's like an agoraphobe who doesn't want to go anywhere, or who lives by himself with a bunch of cats? I mean, I just don't get it. I mean, most people today don't live by themselves. It is very unusual to see somebody live completely by themselves. People are living with roommates and with families and with partners, with husbands and wives, with kids. It's come on, I mean, let's be real here. Like, I see all these stupid Adam Fradham profiles. Oh, let's get real. Let's get down to earth. All right then, let's get down to earth, you bitch. Let's get down to earth. My parents have certain needs, and I want to be able to satisfy those needs. Why? Because, I don't know, I don't want them to die. Okay? I'm sorry. I'm just a compassionate kind of person. I love my family. Even those who hate me, I still love them. All right? I still care about my exes, even though some of them I hate their guts. But the thing is that I'm doing this for his own good. All right? I don't think that this guy and I can have a proper relationship if he can make this kind of a non-issue into an issue. Before he understood the dynamics of my family, and before he understood what kind of relationship I had with my parents, I mean, if he stuck around and shut his big, fat, fucking ugly mouth up, and actually witnessed my family and how my parents totally respect my space and respect me as a person, and I take care of them more than they take care of me, then he will understand why I'm going to have that arrangement. He's going to understand why. Yes, whenever you have people living with you, you have conflicts, you may have problems and situations and all that, but that always happens all the time. Life is not, I mean, what do you want me to do? Live in a fucking cave so I can not have any issues or problems with family members? No, you are going to have issues. And look, I've had people here stay for 6 months, a year. I had a cousin of mine from Mexico. He stayed here for a year and a half with me. He was a nice guy. Very nice guy. He helped me doing some chores around and fixing some few things around the house. So, is that a problem? Is that really if I have somebody? Oh yeah, he's what, my roommate? Oh, I can't have any roommates because that means that I'm not able to sustain myself. No, you moron! Because I help people. I help people. I'm a compassionate person. I'm not your typical homo here, who just, it's all about me, 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 me. No, it's not all about me. It's other people also. And I also had a family stay here for a month because that was my sister's friend. Her husband and the wife, right, which is my sister's friend, they had to move out of the house. They got foreclosed on, so they had, it was immediate, and they couldn't find a place to stay. So they stayed here with me for a month. I had 2 kids here living in my house, and I didn't like kids, but I did it as a favor. There are limits, and yes, of course, there are limits, but I helped them, right? And they understood the limits, right? And we had, and I said, you can stay with me as long as you respect my space, my privacy, and myself. You respect my stuff, my property, and they did. I didn't have any problems with them. They were here quietly. Yes, the kids were kind of making noise here and there, but they're kids. I understand that. I was a kid once. I'm not a fucking Nazi, okay? So I don't know. What do you think that I did? Oh shit. Never mind. I was thinking about something else. Let me ask you this: what do you think about what I did? Was it right what I did about not answering this fucker anymore? Or do you think I was being too harsh? Because look, I'm going to be wasting his time. He's going to have issues again with other things that I'm going to be doing in my life. He's going to be asking, oh, why did you do this? Why did you do that? And I mean, that's been going on lately with this guy. And he asked me why I wanted my meat medium rare. He ordered his well done. Because that's how I like it. Why are you asking me that question? But it's like, I don't know. There are guys who are not satisfied with themselves, and they seek some sort of, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. Their lives pretty much suck in a way, and they seek perfection in something or somebody else. They depend on. These are people that are dependent. They're codependent on others. They need that dependency, and that's why he asked me how much money did I make and all that kind of stuff, and what my career ambitions were. I'm like, what the fuck? Why are you worried about my career? Worry about your career ambitions. Look, if you become very successful, ooh, applause. I will be applauding you. But I'm not going to say, oh, now you're more my boyfriend. Now I'm proud of you. No. I don't care if you are the garbage man. If you are attractive to me, if you are a nice guy, you treat my family right, you treat me right, you respect my boundaries, my lifestyle, and everything else, and you are a good fucker, all right? If you fuck good and bad, what the fuck? I don't give a shit if you are the garbage man. I will love you with all my heart. But stop with these pretentious, pompous guidelines. Come on, give it up. Give it up. Let's stand by what we always say in politics, that we are tolerant individuals. So we tolerate everybody. We should fight for tolerance. And then be tolerant then. Be tolerant to the fact that other people are different from you and they live different lifestyles. I tolerated that all the time. Alright? Well. Alright, we come to the end of our program for today. I hope you have enjoyed it. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. The Real Jose Soto is my Twitter username. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel for more updates and podcasts and little segments, extra segments here and there about various subjects and things that come to my head that I will be talking about. Go ahead, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jose Soto Show. Also visit my blog, The Jose Soto Show. I'm sorry. It's therealjosesoto.blogspot.com. Until next time, I'll see you later.